Hey guys, welcome back to FPL Fran. Today's video is going to be a Game Week 36 team selection. I'll be talking about first my Game Week 35 review, second my Game Week 36 transfer plans, and last of all, my Game Week 36 to 38 transfer strategy. As far as 35 in review, let's just get started with that. The worst part of the week, of course, was the steal result, although that was pretty much offset by the McAllister goal, where he totally intended to score with his back face to the goal. He did have great chances in that game, though. He hit the crossbar once. Pickford also made a fantastic save at one time. So McAllister in this max 6 position, still an interesting player, and he actually still accumulated 1.4 XG. Toma actually completely smashed the post and got the assist, so it was nice to actually own that selection of Brighton midfielders. And I don't have the conundrum of owning March. I know around 60% of managers, so probably anyone watching this video actually does own March in their teams. I think this is a great week to simply go to McAllister. If you already have triple Brighton mid, I do think going simply to Gross makes the most sense. So another midfielder from this Brighton team, capitalize on 36 and 37 and play around that. As far as positives in my week, Trent and Salah, of course, very good. I didn't expect to put the captaincy on Salah unless Haaland was benched, and he was not benched. We got news of that, and I even brought in Foden, as you can see. Another sad part of the week where he could have got an assist, maybe in a world where Gundogan scored the penalty, or Haaland just took it for himself. If you saw Pep and his reaction to Haaland not taking the penalty as well. Rashford and Shaw, quite highly owned, so not exactly the worst, but these are great assets going forwards. You have doubles in 37, and simply put, the fixtures after this are still really, really lovely, right? 38 is another great home fixture for United, and hopefully you'd see this United team particularly good on defense at home to stand out for us as we look towards the rest of the season. Watkins, a little bit dismaying that I started him, but of course the replacement was just Isak on the bench. I didn't think Isak would get much out of this Arsenal game, if I was being honest, and I thought Watkins would actually be able to score versus this Wolves team. Now, people did of course mention Wolves and their lack of goals conceded at home, with exception to the Leeds game, but I have to say, just please take a look at the chances that Watkins got in that game. You'd hope he would have finished one of the key chances. So for me, it was a good decision just on hindsight, really, to go to Watkins. Although, of course, I had to live with a yellow card instead and say it was actually the wrong one. But that was my Game Week 35 review. Fortunately, as I said, no issues with March. And that's particularly interesting, of course, because I did waste a transfer on 35 to get not much really out of Foden, because Isak, of course, could have just simply come in for Grealish, who actually didn't play. And that's really how my Game Week 35 team ended up. As far as my defense this week, I'll be simply moving towards accumulating the doublers of my team. So taking Botman off my bench, playing him instead. Now, this Newcastle team, of course, haven't really gotten many clean sheets, but you still can't go beyond the doubles. And because I actually did use a transfer last week, I can't see myself going for something like Botman out, Wilson in. I don't really like that transfer plan anyways, going for 37 to 38. I don't think it sets my team up particularly well. So I'm going to stick with the structure here with double Newcastle defense. And I already have Isak, of course, waiting in the wings. Steele and Trent, still fantastic options. Now, the interesting thing, of course, is that Wolves are a great fixture for United, right? So United are playing at home at Old Trafford, and that's going to be, once again, another opportunity for Shaw to get a clean sheet. But he is almost nailed in this left centre-back position. So how high is the ceiling for Shaw when someone like Trent, who is getting some of the best creative numbers in the league, is still playing versus a very, very poor defense? I still think Trent can get attacking returns in that game, and it could be explosive, right? Because this Leicester team, yes, they scored a lot of goals versus Fulham, but Fulham, we know, are really poor defense, and Liverpool have somewhat tightened up as of late. The interesting thing too with Trent is, look, the ceiling is still high, where I think he hasn't even tapped into one of those crazy kind of double assist games, or maybe even a goal, which he's more than capable of getting given the creative chances that he's pulling out for this team. And Leicester are a really, really poor team, so there should be more chances than usual for Trent in this game. As far as Steele, I'm playing him over Kepa. Kepa has a good home fixture on paper, but this Nottingham Forest team, maybe you could argue away from home, haven't been so good at goal scoring, but I'd be quite worried. I mean, I remember watching actually the Brighton game as well, thinking how easy they would be, but Nottingham Forest have been scoring quite a few goals as of late, and I'm sure, especially with how fragile this Chelsea team is, that they're still capable of losing a goal. Hopefully that this isn't a Kepa masterclass and that I'm not playing Steele again with negative points. I don't think that's going to be the case, even though those are really, really bad fixtures for Brighton. So I'm sort of playing Steele because I'm expectedly getting some appearance points, some save points. And if he gets benched for Sanchez, I mean, I guess at that point, who cares, because Kepa's going to come into my team. But that's the lay of the land there for the defense. As far as the midfield, I will be playing Foden and tempting him with another start. You can see, of course, on my bench that I'm going to be keeping Watkins there at the front of my bench. And that's going to be one of the 50-50 decisions. So I have Foden right now in my mind to play. But I am concerned, of course, whether he's going to play. The interesting thing was that Jack Grealish mentioned in the post-game interview that he had with BT Sport that he actually had a cramp in the Real Madrid game in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the game. So it suggests, of course, that he was absolutely smashed in that game from a fatigue point of view. And it would be interesting to see Pep actually play Foden, who could play left wing or right wing. Now, with Mahrez on the right, that's a concern, of course, because that really takes away that right wing position from Foden. But I do think that you could see once again that Pep will rest someone like Grealish, and therefore Foden will be allowed to play this game versus Everton. And if he starts, and I'm comfortable that I think he starts, then I will play Foden in my team ahead of Watkins. If I don't, then I'll just simply move back to Watkins, and that's going to be my 150-50 for the week, with exception to the captaincy that I'll talk about. Matoma and McAllister, these are players that are absolutely nailed locks. Of course, this is a week where you actually want to have Brighton double attack. Now, of course, the last time we had a double Brighton game week, I don't think many people expected that they would get 2 clean sheets. I'm not expecting anything here from the defensive point of view. I am expecting them to score, though, versus Newcastle and Arsenal, and that's simply because this Brighton team have been exuberant in attack. So that's how I see things. And Salah and Rashford, 2 independently great fixtures. Rashford, this is a week where, once again, I don't own Fernandes, and he seems to be a super appealing transfer option, but I can't get towards him reasonably. So Fernandes will still be evaded for now, and I think this is a week where, as you can see, I am going to be rolling my transfers. So with the forwards now and the captaincy, I will be playing Haaland, of course, and then I will also put the captaincy provisionally on Isaac actually, because I think he actually prefers his name being called Isaac for some odd reason, which he mentioned in an EA Sports interview. So Isaac will be the captain if I get news, and we will get news potentially on the availability of Isaac and Wilson and whether they start for this Leeds game. If Wilson starts, I would of course suggest for many people to go for Wilson instead as a transfer in if you're looking for one of the forwards to adopt. As far as Isaac, though, I mean, he stays in my team no matter what. I think he will be nailed. He'll also be an option on 37, not really on 38, but I will be captaining him if he gets that start versus Leeds, particularly if he actually gets the start over Wilson, and let's say Wilson gets benched. If he doesn't, then it might be a 50-50 with Trippier. However, if Isaac gets benched, it's very, very simple. I'll just be moving my captaincy back to Trippier and just swapping that around, potentially even moving my vice captain elsewhere, but I don't really see the point of not going with the double game week for this week, and I don't really like the Brighton fixtures. They're not that great from the attacking point of view. I expect them to score, but if you're expecting, let's say, Brighton to score only 1 goal from both games, the ceiling isn't that high really for this Brighton team, is it? So that's going to be my Game Week 36 team selection. However, if we look at transfer plans going forward, I actually have a few transfer plans, and that is around what I plan to do on 37, 38. As you can see, I'm going to be rolling a transfer on this week, so that's going to mean that on 37, I will have 2 free transfers, and those 2 free transfers will be spent towards getting Grealish and Fernandes. My plans are that with Grealish coming back from this Real Madrid game, he should be able to play the double game week fixture, both against Chelsea and Brighton, and hopefully you would see that Pep goes back to his full default starting 11, which is the preferred 11 with Grealish in at left wing, and Fernandes will come in. And I think this is because the fixtures are just way too good on paper for this United team. Salah has a single game week fixture. It's Aston Villa at home. Not a particularly great game in my opinion. I don't see the ceiling being nearly as high as someone like a Fernandes or a KDB. You could obviously go towards someone like KDB, and even I can go towards someone like KDB this week, but I actually prefer Salah to Fernandes on this week. It's Chelsea who have been pretty unformidable, if I have to be honest, and Bournemouth at home, or Bournemouth away rather, who have also been a really poor defense. I mean, you could see this Chelsea team even scoring versus Bournemouth. Was shocked to me to actually see Chelsea score 3 goals under Frank Lampard, but that is the reality, and I do think that's why Fernandes becomes such a tempting option. If we seem to think that, let's say, KDB is extremely fit for the double game week, then of course the plan could simply be to just go to Grealish and KDB instead. I could obviously also keep Foden if for whatever reason we get news that KDB will continue to play, Grealish gets injured, that sort of thing. But for now, provisionally, of course, the transfer will be Foden back to Grealish because the punt hopefully would have gone okay, I suppose, depending on of course how 36 pans out, but that's going to be how it is with the Haaland captaincy. And on game week 38, because I can't actually afford going from Grealish to Salah, I can only really push a move away away from Fernandes into Salah instead. And I don't like that, right? Because Fulham is such a great fixture. And of course, Southampton away is a lovely game for Salah. So game week 38 could be where my season ends if I'm Salah less. But I really do like Saka at home versus Wolves. Hopefully, Arsenal would still be in the title race leading towards the final match today. And that's going to be a great opportunity for Saka to deliver once again for our team. And finally, a chance for me to actually play double Arsenal at the end of the season. Meanwhile, Chelsea have a pretty terrible fixture versus Newcastle, which means that both or all my players really from that game are going to be on the bench, and I have Steele there versus Aston Villa away from home in the team. So that's going to be my team selection this week, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day ahead, and I will see you soon.